What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Spencer doing another updated deck profile for this Winged Dragon of Ra deck, and I do have some gameplay video at the end. So I'll go into it. I'll go into some of my philosophies. This is a deck that has evolved for the past like 2 years for me. It's my favorite deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! And I'll kind of explain some of my tech choices because the deck really is quite different from where it kind of originally was. But a couple of Guardian Slime. This card typically isn't good. Like in normal circumstances, you won't be able to use the effect of Guardian Slime too much, especially with DPE in the format. But you can trigger it yourself. With Performance Trick Clown, this is a going second deck only, or you're going to always choose going second. So basically, if your opponent controls an extra deck monster, you activate Shaddoll Fusion. You can send Performance Trick Clown, which triggers Guardian Slime. It's a great interaction. You'll see it here in literally just a second. I run 2 Winged Dragon of Ra because if you have to search this from the deck, obviously it's a searcher for the Winged Dragon of Ra. So if you have this and you're only playing 1 Winged Dragon of Ra, like Ancient Chan is almost dead. I mean, the additional normal summon is like equally as important as the attack gain. Now there's some cool stuff you can do, like you can send App Cologne, with something like Nadir Servant. App Cologne can add something and pitch. So if this is like log jammed in your hand, you can pitch Ancient Chant. That's happened to me before, but you kind of just have to play 2 copies. As much as the Winged Dragon of Ra is a mega brick, sometimes you're just gonna have to deal with it. In my experience, in my opinion, a little bit of a Dogmatika package, Fleur de Lis, Maximus. This is such a good card in this deck, especially because you're getting the most out of like App Cologne. Triple Ecclesia, of course. This card is a 1 card Winged Dragon of Ra without normal summoning, which is kind of nuts, right? Assuming you have an extra deck monster in your graveyard, which is fairly easy to do through a myriad of ways, or late game, more likely than not. 1 Pankratops. I could really just put this down here, but I'll talk about that in a second. I do run quite an extensive Shaddoll package. Beast is kind of like a weird draw engine. Not weird, it is a draw engine. It's accessible from the deck a lot of the times. It's also 2200 attack body, which is nice for the Winged Dragon of Ra to maybe get you that extra damage, especially if you're going to the later stage of the game and maybe you've taken a few, hits to your life points. This card actually does come up. It's also good discard fodder for drawing extra cards. It's a worthy addition of the Shaddoll package. Shaddoll Dragon is super good at pop spells and traps. A lot of times you can send it from the deck, so it's very accessible. You can even add it off of Apiclone and then immediately pitch it, which I do quite a bit, and that also pops a card. The card that enables a lot of your plays is Windy. It's a free special summon from the deck, which you always want to do. This card you could probably ditch, to be honest with you. It's not great in this format right now. I mean, it's good if you're playing against maybe like Sky Striker, which is pretty relevant, of course. It doesn't really do much against Despia because a lot of the times they can just shuffle back from Banished. It's a 50-50 card. Either it's amazing or it's something that you're not going to use for the duel and it's going to be a brick. Just 1 Performance Trick Clown. I kind of talked about that interaction. 2 Alistair the Invoker, and I do run 3 Magical Meltdown, which is definitely a weird ratio. But you don't since you're playing Forbidden Droplets, to me, it's more important to play extra copies of 1 copy extra of Magical Meltdown, so you could potentially use it off of it. And I just saw this card too much in my hand as I was playing it. Now that it's 45 cards, maybe I can, drop maybe like a beast or something, but this card just does too much. It's a free special summon. It's a 3k body. It literally fills so many requirements for what you need to do in this deck, and it's also great disruption going second. So again, a lot of these ratios are probably going to be very bizarre, but it's something that's worked for me for a really long time now. 3 Draw on Lockbird. It's like the highest impact hand trap that I can think of, so that's why I play it. There we go. I guess this could be Ash or something like that, but I don't know. I think Draw on Lockbird's pretty much a turn ender for a lot of decks. I just talked about Alpha, the Master of Beast. So this is the newest addition to the deck. So really, this is where you could cut down 5 cards and play 40 cards, which of course is much more normal. I'm going to play a few replays to justify this response. The Kaijus are just good going second in general, especially right now. I mainly use it for the Despia matchup, and also Interrupted Kaiju Slumber. This is also very good for the Kaiju matchup. It's actually insanely good. The cool thing about Interrupted Kaiju Slumber is it does a few things. So a lot of the times when you want to go for game with the Winged Dragon of Ra, your opponent will maybe play around Lightning Storm. So what this does is it gets that body, that defense position body off, and then it just gives your opponent a 2200 attack position monster, which is really, really good. And also gives you a 3300 attack body. It's also light. That's why I played this kaiju in particular. Kind of wonky, to be honest with you, with 3300 attack. It's kind of like hard to get over. But I do feel like maybe having a light target, maybe you can play Raijin. It might be like even better because you can kind of send it off and go for Winda. It's kind of a preference thing at that point. It's a few difference of a life points, although it has come up for me. Less important, the kaiju package I actually really enjoy. And the more cards you have in your deck, the less likely you are to see, some things that you don't. You're going to see less Shaddoll monsters. You're going to see less of the Winged Dragon of Ra in your opening, at least theoretically, right? And these are always just kind of good cards. Now, if you open both of these, like, it's super sucky because you have to summon them from the deck. But just having a kaiju in your hand, and this could end up just being discard fodder, maybe for Forbidden Droplets. It's not a perfect system, but hopefully you'll see in these replays coming up that it is pretty decent. A couple of Nadir Servant. So this card's good. I don't really know what to say. Yeah, play this card a lot. Because if you get Nadir Servant and you have like Ancient Chant, like I said, Ecclesia can pretty much, it can normal summon itself at that point if you're that far. If you have the Ancient Chant in your hand. So you normal summon Ecclesia. You send whatever. Doesn't really matter as long as it's an extra deck monster, which you have to. So you're going to do that. You get to search out Maximus, and then Maximus can go ahead and banish whatever's in the graveyard. And then it can send Apcalone. Apcalone can go ahead and add Windy, discard Windy, special summon a different name from the deck. And there you go. There's your 3 bodies for Ancient Chant. It's amazing. 3 Shaddoll Fusion. I wouldn't play this at 3 unless I knew I was going second, which of course you're always going to choose even if you win the dice roll. This card just does a lot for the deck and sending things to the graveyard that you want. Like Performance Clown, it can send really good disruption like Shaddoll Dragon, all of the above, right? 1 Invocation, I've always been fine with 1. Also pretty good in this deck, a little bit more than usual, is because if you have Shaddoll monsters in your hand, you can just use it as a normal fusion card, kind of interesting. Ancient Chant, of course, you're going to run that at 3. I don't run the Hyper Blaze anymore. The card that makes Winged Dragon of Ra unaffected, it's literally never come up for me, so there you go. I used to play it, and it's just not worth it. It's a brick. 3 Forbidden Droplets. This card is one of the MVPs of the deck, absolutely, for busting boards. It's so necessary. Running a lot of really good going second cards, of course. Magical Meltdown to 3. I talked about that. And Punishment, and then Shaddoll Schism. This card is objectively really good. Onto the extra deck, just 1 copy of the Egyptian God Slime. You're never going to summon 2. El Shaddoll, whatever you want to call it. This card's okay. It's just more than anything. Sometimes you need to fusion summon and get this guy out of your hand. And that's one way to do it. It's come up maybe once or twice. I think there's probably maybe some other targets. Maybe you want to play another Shaddoll Winda. Maybe you want to play another Construct. I'm not sure. But it is worth it for me for the slight chance. I'd hate to miss going for a game because I didn't have the proper fusion target. That's just how I feel about it. Invoked Macabre, I think everybody knows what this card does. El Shaddoll Construct, the 1 Titan Clad, pretty decent to send, depending on what you have in your hand with the Maximus. Invoked, I don't know how to say this, I call it Og. Invoked Purgatrio, pretty decent for, also finishing your opponent's life points, which is really what this deck does. It's a 1-turn kill deck. This has won me, I say 1 out of 10 duels, you probably win with Purgatrio. Apcalone, this card's really, really good, actually. 2 Shaddoll monster with different attributes is the fusion material, which is already good. It forever negates the effects of 1 face-up card, so it can be a monster, it can be, a face-up spell and trap. It can't be destroyed by battle. It's a dark attribute. I can't speak enough about how much this card has helped me win duels. Winda, 2 Elder, you absolutely have to play 2 of these. I do run 1 Wind Pegasus in case your Maximus stays around more than 1 turn, and that goes the same, for Fairjeet, which is nice because if you can tuck back a Winged Dragon of Ra, so you definitely never want to see this in your hand. I say maybe 1% of the time you want to see it in special circumstances. And then Secure Gardena and Salamangreat Almirage. No surprises there with the Invocation package. Ghost Spell is a pretty decent hand trap right now, especially against DP. 3 Lightning Storm, 3 Cosmic Cyclone, 3-Dimensional Barrier just for that Despia matchup. Sometimes you can go first, and if you do, you can just play Anti-Spell Fragrance too, which is also very good against, Despia. You can activate, if you activate both of these, and that's the thing, like your opponent may think you'll never want to go first, but every once in a while you want to like surprise your opponents. Maybe sometimes you just really don't like the matchup, and you don't think you can like kind of bust boards that way. You can't go first, right? You get some Alistair plays going with Ecclesia, like you're not sitting too badly at all. You can even go for Schism plays, lots of cool stuff like that. Okay, so we'll go ahead and look at some of the replays. I think there's only just 4, nothing too crazy. This is against Buster Blader. I think this one was actually fairly interesting, but so I do have the Brick in my hand, which kind of stinks, but all the other cards in my hand are like okay. Beast is good, like I said. Shaddoll Fusion, like the good thing about playing such a large count is the option to Fusion Summon. So he said 3. I got rid of 1 Imperm. Pretty nice. I'm going to go ahead and activate Alistair, and then I can activate Shaddoll Fusion, go into a window, which is pretty cool, and then I top deck a Nadir Servant, which is even better. I end up popping the back row. It's Trap Trick. I had a 50-50 chance of hitting Dogmatika Punishment, but this is the cool thing I think about this deck just in general. So Prologue needs a Dragon Monster in the graveyard, so he's not going to have an easy time doing that. He's not going to be able to actually do his Branded Fusion play. I don't know why he didn't play it, but you can only special summon 1 time, and then this can't be destroyed by card effects, so lots of versatility in the deck. That wasn't the greatest replay ever. You'll see some much better stuff here. Got to think this through, but having Pankratops and Alpha is usually like pretty sick. Seeing that I have Magical Meltdown as well is also pretty nice. So he's going to be able to special summon a couple times, and this is like a Dragon Link Destruction Sword deck. I thought that was pretty nice. Potentially very bricky, but overall, I think he played it out pretty well. He hard makes Buster Dragon, which we got to respect a little bit there. So he's got the Buster Lock, but I do have Forbidden Droplets, and I have so many going second cards. It's kind of sick. So he's going to protect his Destruction Swordsman, although these don't count as it. Buster Blader, the fusion does not. But Alistair can go ahead, and then I can pop this so I can go into the extra deck. They still count as Dragon Monsters, so I can't go, I think, into Secure Gardena. But I do have Purgatrio, and I'm going to boost this attack. Didn't really realize I should have read more of his grave, or I guess I didn't know he had Recharger in hand, so pretty lucky there for him. Maybe I did, but I honestly don't think so. So he's got 500 life points. I'm going to go ahead and bounce this back to his hand so he can't equip it to anything. He's going to have to use it as a normal summon. And look at the top deck of Buster Whelp. Like, I wish when I played Buster Blader, I would just top deck that every single time. So, of course, he's going to go through the Buster Lock once again. I'm just going to have to weather the storm a little bit until one of these goes away. I do have Shaddoll Schism. No targets. I haven't drawn any Shaddoll monsters yet. Kind of sucky, but okay. He's going to go for Crystalline Holly Fibrax. Special summon that from the hand, and then he's going to get over Purgatrio. I'm on kind of like a short clock here, and he also has a really good trap, and then he, on top of that, adds a Hot Red Archfiend Abyss. So I have a lot of work to do here. I can go ahead and trigger both the Omni Negate and his trap, which banishes all monsters, and then I can go for Maximus, which is just great. And then I can go ahead and grab a beast. Like I said, it's more of a draw engine than anything, and now I'm like feeling okay. So he top decks an Abster Router, not that great. Finally, I'm going to draw a couple cards, and then I can pitch the Performance Trick Clown. I do have Ancient Chant as well, really setting myself up, but I also did draw a Guardian Slime on top of that. So he's going to go ahead and try to activate Rocket Tracer. I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of it so he can't special summon again, and then he ended up scooping. This is against Furhire, and this is really just, I say Furhire, it's more like Eldritch DPE with a couple of Furhire cards thrown in there for fun. I don't know if I would give up Infinite Impermanence, like his Upstart Goblet, not a good card anyways, but alright. He's going to add a Furhire card to his hand, and this is where Interrupted Kaiju Slumber looks like really, really, really good. Alright, so he's going to bring this out, and against DP, it's like I'm stopping him before he starts, right? And I also have like Alistair, so if I top deck that, I can just banish it from the graveyard. But I actually had game anyways, and I do top deck an Alistair, which is pretty cool. But okay, I'm going to destroy all his monsters, and look at that. Now he just has this nice 2200 attack monster staring at me in the face. and I already knew that this was Eldritch. Base again, like making this the reason for using Interrupted Kaiju Slumber. Just like here, it looks amazing. And this is the last duel here. Again, like I said, there's not too much, but... And he, again, has a very good opening. So he has Anti-Spell Fragrance, which is pretty nice. Going to be able to special summon a lot of these, gain some life points, and then he goes to Breath of Life and Anaconda. That's a nice for hire deck, definitely. So Anti-Spell Fragrance plus Destiny Hero, Phoenix Enforcer. You probably thought he had me cooked, but I did have Pankratops in my hand, so I'm going to pop the Anti-Spell. Go ahead and go into Shaddoll Fusion. And he thinks it's going to be a dud, but that's why I play so many Shaddoll monsters. It works out a lot of the times, which is pretty nice. Ghost Spell is hilarious to draw off the top, but this is pretty nice. So Guardian Slime again, I get to trigger that once more. I can go into Egyptian God Slime, grab Ancient Enchant, grab the Winged Dragon of Ra, tribute someone with these three because he does have the defense position monster, but it's not going to be enough. It's really nice that this is a 3k body attack there and then attack for game. So yeah, that is really like a good look at the deck and like an in-depth deck profile, and you kind of can see my vision for this. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Other than that, that's going to do it for today's video, and I'll see you guys next time.